Someone had a dream the night before Jesus was crucified. Not a disciple. Not a prophet. Not someone who followed him. It was the wife of the man who would sentence him to death. A pagan woman, married to the Roman governor of Judea, had a dream so intense, so disturbing, that the next morning she did something almost unthinkable. She interrupted a Roman trial. While Jesus was standing in front of her husband, she sent a message into the courtroom. It said, "Have nothing to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered greatly because of him today in a dream." One verse. No name. No description. No explanation. And still, 2,000 years later, it raises questions. Who was this woman? What did she see? And why did she act when everyone else stayed silent? Let's take this slowly. The Gospel of Matthew never gives her a name. It simply says, his wife. But early Christian tradition does. Her name was Claudia Procula. Some sources vary slightly, but most agree she was connected to the Roman elite, possibly even tied to the imperial family. She lived at the center of power in the governor's residence, with access to everything that moved through it. And there's something most people overlook. Roman governors usually went to the provinces alone. Their families stayed behind in Rome. But she was in Jerusalem, during Passover, at the most volatile moment of the year. That wasn't random. It meant she was present when the city was at its most unstable, when tensions were highest, and when the name of Jesus of Nazareth was already being discussed everywhere. She had heard about him. The crowds, the miracles, the confrontation in the temple. And then came the night. Jerusalem was full. Pilgrims everywhere. Fires burning. Voices in the streets. On one side of the city, in a dark garden, Jesus was praying. On the other, in the governor's palace, Claudia Procula was asleep. And at some point in the night, she dreamed. Matthew tells us almost nothing about it. Only this. It was about Jesus. And it caused her to suffer deeply. That's all. No images. No details. No explanation. Just the impact. Whatever she saw, it was enough to wake her up with urgency. Enough to leave her unsettled. Enough to push her to act. And while she was waking up, trying to process what she had just experienced, Jesus had already been arrested. He was already being questioned. The process that would end in her husband's courtroom was already in motion. She didn't know the details. But she knew one thing with certainty. This man was innocent, and what was about to happen was wrong. By the time the sun rose, Pilate was seated at the judgment seat. Jesus stood before him. The crowd was gathering. Pressure was building. And right in the middle of that moment, a message arrived. Have nothing to do with that innocent man. Think about that. The Roman trial. A man's life at stake. And the governor receives a warning from his wife. She didn't soften it. She didn't hesitate. That innocent man. Absolute clarity. No doubt. No hesitation. A woman outside the religious system saw what the experts refused to see. While the ones who knew the law demanded his death, the one who had no reason to care recognized something they could not. Pilate read the message and ignored it. To understand why, you have to understand where he stood. Pilate was not weak by nature. Historical sources describe him as harsh, inflexible, even brutal. He had already clashed with the Jewish population multiple times. He ruled through force, not hesitation. But at that moment he was exposed. Years earlier, the man who secured his position, Sejanus, had been executed for conspiracy against Emperor Tiberius. Anyone connected to him was now under suspicion. Pilate was already on thin ice. And then came the threat. If you release this man, you are no friend of Caesar. That wasn't religion. That was politics. Acquit him and you risk everything. Your position. Your reputation. Possibly your life. Pilate stood between what he knew and what it would cost him to act on it. He had already questioned Jesus. He had already found no guilt. He had already said it publicly. He had heard the words about truth. He had asked the question. And walked away without waiting for the answer. Now he had one more warning. From inside his own house. 3 signals. His own judgment. The words of Jesus. And his wife's message. And still he chose fear. He called for water. He washed his hands in front of the crowd. I am innocent of this man's blood. But the act changed nothing. The decision had already been made. Claudia Procula could not stop what happened. But she did not stay silent. She acted with what she had, from where she was, in the moment she was given. And that matters. Because there is a difference between failing to change something and never having tried. This story doesn't just belong to history. It reflects something much closer. There are moments when something in you is clear. When you recognize that something is wrong. When you know a word needs to be spoken, a line needs to be drawn, or a decision needs to change. Sometimes you act. Sometimes you stay quiet. Sometimes you send the message. Sometimes you ignore it. Pilate wasn't a monster. He was a man under pressure who chose what felt safer over what he knew was right. That choice doesn't usually look dramatic. It shows up in smaller ways. Avoiding a conversation. Staying silent when something matters. Looking away when speaking up would cost something. The damage isn't always in what we do. Sometimes it's in what we choose not to do. The water didn't remove responsibility then, and it doesn't now. But the story doesn't end there. Because the same moment that exposed that failure also revealed something else. That truth can be ignored, but it doesn't disappear. And that even when someone refuses to act on it, it still stands. So here's the question. When the moment comes, which one are you? The one who speaks, or the one who washes his hands?